Speaking of digging into, Bree Royce at Massively Overpowered did a deep dive into Activision Blizzard, and you might be interested to hear how it's going. And I know you're just chomping at the bit to jump on this one. So Bree Royce at Massively Overpowered wrote, is basically, saying that they did a quarterly report to their investors, and what came out was kind of interesting. So they have the results for Q1, and surprisingly, they're actually doing very well. With revenues in 2.28 billion, a significant increase compared to its quarter last year. Though, of course, this quarter's last year wasn't great to begin with. Once again, the moneymakers are. Can you guess what the moneymakers are, or do you know this already? What do you think would be making the most money for
In
Activision Blizzard?
Activision Blizzard, there couldn't be some ridiculously high hard drive space taking up Call of Duty game that's doing really well,
That's
could
one of
it?
them. Can you guess what the other two are?
Oh, I'm sure World of Warcraft would be one.
That's number two. Number three, what would you guess?
What could be the last one? Probably Overwatch still.
Nope. No, Candy Crush.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So, anyways, they
Stupid casuals.
So, like I said, they're doing very well in terms of their finances. However, one of the key things that came out was that Blizzard has apparently been losing a big, significant amount of their users. So they wrote, as we noted last month, Blizzard continues to lose monthly active users across all of its titles. It's now lost 11 million players in the last 3 years, or about 29% as measured by Blizzard's own preferred monthly active user count. 2 million of those dried up just last quarter in Q 2044. Yeah, and so they say in Q1 of 2018 they had 38 million monthly active players. Or yeah, is that what the term? Yeah. And then in Q 2021, this quarter they went down to 27 million. So Adam, what do you think this is? Is this a matter of just Blizzard's games getting kind of old and stale and people moving on to something else, or are there some holes in the ship at Activision Blizzard?
There are two major reasons why Activision Blizzard is maybe still making a lot of money, because gamers are friggin' utter idiots when it comes to spending money on the things they love too much. And I should know, because I totally don't engage in such practices ever. One of the reasons, honestly, is that people are just sick and tired of Activision Blizzard. They're just tired of their crap. Like, Bobby Kotick has created such a horrible image to that company, in the same way that EA has done, in the same way that Ubisoft has done. And I think a lot of people are finally at that point, and obviously with the way the pandemic's been and all these political issues that have come up, and we're now getting used to being like a big community that gets together and fights stuff that we don't like. Gaming is translating into the same thing too. A lot of people, I know a lot of people that straight up, myself included, have refused to buy from EA, have refused to buy from Activision, and have refused to buy from Ubisoft right now. And I've stuck to those three, and I think Bethesda falls into that category too. Now I can't, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But that's one of them. It's just the fact that people just cannot stand this company right now, because I actually think they might be more hated right now than EA, just because EA is quietly just kind of backed away a little bit since Battlefront 2 specifically. Mm-hmm. The other half of the problem is that when you really sit down and think about it, Activision Blizzard has two properties that are really moving at this point. Here's the list of all the games released from them since 2017, so about a 5-year span. Skylanders, which is dead. Crash Bandicoot, which was just a remake. Destiny 2, which is, I'm surprised is not getting close to announcing Destiny 3 yet, because you kind of got to figure that thing's going to run its way out soon. Call of Duty game. Another Crash. Oh, I think it's the same thing. I think it was just another re-release. Another Call of Duty game. Spira remake. Okay, that's fine. Sekiro doesn't even really belong to them, so I don't feel like it counts. Crash Team Racing, basically another redo. Spyro again, redo. Call of Duty again. Okay, that's all from 2017 to 2019. 2020, Call of Duty, Tony Hawk, Crash. That's it. So that's Activision. It's Call of Duty, 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 and sometimes a Crash game. That's really it. So unless you're a big Call of Duty fan, which, by the way, most people, if you're older, like my age, you've burnt out of that series. It's been going on so long. Most people have burned out. The people playing these games religiously now are a lot younger. So,
or like streamers,
So you're not getting the same crowd that, I think they're probably getting bigger numbers anyway, but that's just because there's more people playing, and it's just gaming's a bigger industry now. But there's clearly a fatigue level from that. And then with Bethesda, it's even worse. It's literally Overwatch, and that's been it.
You mean Blizzard?
Like, sorry, Blizzard.
You said Bethesda.
Oh, that's my bad. Yeah, but Blizzard, it's basically Overwatch and then updates to WoW. Like, that's literally all they've done for a while now. Because Diablo Immortal still isn't out. Diablo 4 is kind of in the ether. Overwatch 2 is kind of in the ether. There's nothing coming out of Blizzard. So, I think it's less that it's old. Just, they're done. Like, there's nothing to do. Like, there's not much else you can go with. In the same vein that, like, if you play an MMORPG like WoW, like, yeah, you can go back and play it, but eventually you're going to have finished everything. You'll probably have gotten all the loot that you really want, and now you're just waiting.
Yeah.
And I think people are kind of tired of waiting.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think it is just a matter, like, I think, one, they're struggling with, a publicity issue. I mean, they had that issue with the Hong Kong protests and banning some of their, key players within, I think it was Overwatch that it was. Was it Overwatch?
Yeah, it was Overwatch.
And so they're not doing well in terms of a publicity standpoint, which I think does hurt it. But I think you're also having a situation where people are getting tired of these games, which they are long-term, like MMORPGs or things that you return to, like Overwatch, but those do get stale, and it'd be interesting to see, like, what do you think is going to happen once we see Overwatch 2 or once we see, Diablo come out again? Like, do we see these numbers go back up? Or
I'm going to go out there and say Overwatch 2 is going to bomb.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm not meaning, like, no one's going to play. It's not going to be, like, I don't know, like...
It's not going to be a failure, but it's not going to do as well.
It's not going to do what I think what Bethesda... Or no, did it again. It's not going to do what Blizzard wants it to do. I don't think they're going to get remotely as much because I think people have moved on. Like, people will come back, they'll peek in, but I don't think you'll be seeing people playing that game for years like they did with Overwatch.
Well, I think it's one of those games that it's one of those series that, you get a casual group, but they eventually, fade away. And then you just get into the point where and then I feel like this is the problem with most like online games, is that you get a core group who dominate and become experts in the game. And then it's just unapproachable for someone to kind of come in and like new and see what it is. I think this is one of the issues that you have with something like Rainbow Six, even, where you've got a super highly competitive, player base now, that it makes it almost inaccessible for someone to just come in and get their feet wet without getting completely destroyed. So, and I think when Overwatch 2 comes out, like, the hero shooter genre has kind of, had its time and kind of dissipated, I think. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's dissipated because I keep saying Battle Royale is going to be on its way out and it doesn't go away. I think there's some things that just won't. But in the fact with
I don't think as a genre it's going to disappear. I mean, there's always going to be someone who wants to play a hero shooter. But I think that whole everybody's playing one right now is kind of dissipated.
Well, I think that would also just be largely because there's always a new trend every 6 months, and that's what everybody gravitates towards. I mean, I don't think you're going to see, a long-term... There are some games that'll stick long-term, but, like, every time we think there's one that's going to be, like, the next, like, Fortnite, it dies and goes away. Like, Apex is nowhere near what it used to be when it first came out. Like, I know a lot of people still play it, but it's not what it was. And the same goes for Overwatch. The same went for Fall Guys, and everybody thought that was going to be a big one. Like, it seems like only a couple hang in there, and Fortnite and Warzone seem to be the two right now. Yeah. And everything else just kind of falls back to the wayside. And, with Activision Blizzard right now, it's going to come down to a big part of they're not releasing enough to get people to be interested in their brand anymore. I even took a look at Ubisoft just for fun. Just in the last 2 years alone, I think they've released more games than Activision Blizzard as a whole did. And that's because they invest heavily into the indie market too. They're not just a one-trick pony. And I think that's what Activision's kind of falling into, is Activision's the Call of Duty guys and Blizzard's the World of Warcraft guys. And that's all they got. Granted, there's Overwatch 2, there might be Diablo, but you're talking, 4 or 5 properties, and that's it. Ubisoft has 4 or 5 properties you can name off the bat, plus their indie stuff, plus the other stuff they kind of surprise you with. So,
it's interesting because, I mean, there is more to it. Like, the Spyro games the Crash Bandicoot games did do surprisingly well. And they, were received really well. Same with Sekiro, like that did really well.
But if I asked you who published that game, would you remember?
No, I wouldn't. But that
That's
doesn't really
the
matter.
problem. Is like,
But that doesn't really matter to Activision. They just want the money and the game and the players.
well, yeah, but their big cash cows are not going to be Crash. It's going to be
Yeah.
Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and those games. And back to what I said, it's people are getting A, pissed off with them, and B, just getting like just completely killed off in these games. Like they're done. They're burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you know, it seems like the gaming market is very fickle now, and like, what is going to be the next game to take over Fortnite, which is dominating basically the whole conversation? And
I mean,
like, basically,
you can say nothing because that's literally what people have been trying to do with World of Warcraft for like 15 years. Sometimes you just can't beat it. All you can do is just try to complement it. You can try to be something on the side that just, and that's what Final Fantasy 14 did right. You know, well, actually, I should say the second time because they fucked up the first one.
yeah,
Final Fantasy 14, I don't think ever went in trying to beat WoW. I think they went trying to be the alternate.
yeah,
Because so many games tried. Like Guild Wars 2 tried. Elder Scrolls Online tried to. Star Wars The Old Republic tried to. Star Trek Online tried. Like there's so many games out there that really try to take a run at them. And it just, you can't. Whereas you try to create your own niche. And I think that's why some games are doing better than others right now, because they're just going, okay, I know what I'm good at. Well, let's try to carve out our own thing. The only way that you can honestly beat a game like Fortnite is with a license like Call of Duty. Like that's literally the only way that could have ever been possible. That's why both of them have their own universes now, because literally Activision has so much money that they can pour into that, and Call of Duty is such an established brand that it's hard to beat that out.
yeah. All right.